Hello there, welcome to the latest edition of the SAU Baseball Coaches Show. I'm Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside head baseball coach Steve Browning. And coach, we're getting down to the point of the season where only two more conference weekends left. The conference race is really neck and neck because not necessarily the amount of wins any team's got, but with all the rainouts throughout the year and dealing with it this weekend as well, but it's down to percentage points. And so your team, 15 wins, tops in the conference, where you sit there in third place. Talk a little bit about the conference race, knowing that there's 2 weekends left.
It's like you said, it's down to the wire, and it's tight. If you look at it, we're in the next to last weekend, and nobody has clinched a spot in the tournament yet. Usually, when you get into this weekend, there's at least been some scenarios where people have clinched, and it's just. But again, like we say every week, it's one of those crazy years. Like you said, we've got more wins than anybody in conference, but we're sitting in third. Just because of people that hadn't played as many games. That's that's part of it. There's nothing we can. I tell people there's nothing we you can't sit and cry about it. It is what it is. It's things you can't control, weather, and all we can do is just go out and keep winning as many games as we can and see what happens at the end of the year.
Going back to last weekend, you go to Southeastern Oklahoma, take 2 of 3 from them. Game 1, you had an early lead. It winds up slipping away, but then your team bounces back later on that day with a very impressive 25-4 win. And then you take the series finale to get the series victory. Talk some about that series, having that lead early in game 1, losing it, wind up losing that first game, but then the bounce back and being able to take the series.
Yeah, it's game 1, being out, you don't ever like being up 6-1 and then getting outscored 10 runs over the rest of the ball game, but it happened, and that's kind of been our Achilles heel this year. We've let some games probably slip away from us that we shouldn't have, and we had some of those games back. I think we'd be in a totally different situation right now, conference-wise. But again, it is what it is. Guys showed a lot of heart, a lot of because Southeastern's a tough place to play. Obviously anybody's field other than your own is, but bounce back and actually, it's kind of scary the first inning because they score 4 in the first or whatever, like man, but then we kind of scored 10 in the second, and it kind of snowballed from there. So hats off to our guys there offensively because they couldn't get us out. It was just one of those things. It was hit after hit. Preston Gray settled in and threw really well the rest of the way, and then put us in a situation to come out on the next day and win a series. And we did. We put together a good ball game. Got close there at the end, but I think the score really doesn't reflect the ball game itself. And came out there with a series win. And right now those are huge.
And then midweek, you're back at home. You close out actually your last 7 out of your last 8 games of the season played at home. The first of those being a midweek game against Delta State. The traditional rival, used to be conference foes. The history between these two programs very long and storied. So being able to play them is always good each year. You beat them 8-1 in a midweek game at home. Talk about how that helped propel from the weekend on into the midweek and then looking ahead.
It's Delta's Delta, and it doesn't matter what type of year they're having or what type of year we're having. I think that game is always a big game for both of us. It goes back to the Gulf South Conference days. So, it's one of those nights that I was really proud of our guys because we didn't get to go through the normal, the BP or the in-and-field, outfield routine because of the rain that popped up right before the game. We had to delay the game a little bit. So both teams didn't get to go through what you normally would get to go through. And so it's just, I told our guys for the game, it's the team that's just mentally tougher and ready to play is going to win just because it was, unusual situations that occurred. But proud of our guys. Thought Colton threw the ball really well. Mayo came in the back ball, the back of the ball game, threw the ball really well. Had some, they gave us some freebies with some walks and some mistakes, but we took advantage of them when they were given to us. And that's a big game. It's a big game, some confidence here, get rolling. It's a big game to see a guy like Colton get back on the mound and throw some big innings for us because as we make this push here at the end, we need as many guys throwing the ball well as we can get. And saw some things from offensively from some guys that are continuing to get a little bit better every day. And at the end of the day, it was also a big regional win. We're at that time of the year where regional rankings are going to start coming out. And, any game you can win that's an in-region game with a team that's got a 500 winning record or better, it's going to help you. And at the end of the day, I think that game will help us in that regional standings.
Looking ahead to this weekend, you got East Central coming in. They're a team that right now, if the season were to end, they'd be in the conference tournament, but it's also, they're one of those teams where everybody's in that same kind of position where from weekend to weekend, obviously depending on how it shakes out, they could elevate themselves a few spots or they could drop out of the picture. And so obviously everybody playing for a lot coming into this weekend, going to be battling some weather as well, so there's all those factors going into it. But what is really the focus of your team coming in against East Central?
Really the focus is, one, let's do what we can do, get our games in, and it is. And, we really don't talk to our guys about that because that's not their job to worry about. That's our job. But, right now it's just one game at a time, which has kind of been that for the last couple of weeks, but it really is. One game at a time. We're in a situation, we're third, but we're also in a situation with, if we do what we're capable of doing, take care of business, and some other people take care of business, and we can still win a regular season championship. But we're not the only person thinking that. There's about 4 or 5 teams that are thinking that, and there's also 4 or 5 teams thinking if I don't win, I may not go to the tournament. So it's that close if you look at the standings. So we're in a situation with East Central this weekend. We're playing a team that's still fighting to stay in the, because right now they're in the top 6, and they're still fighting to stay there. So it's not like we're playing a team that is already clinched or can't go. We're playing a team fighting for their life just like we are. So it'll be an intense ball game. Like I said, all we can do is take it one game at a time and hope we're prepared and ready to play.
At the beginning of the year, we'll kind of go back a little bit, but the preseason expectations were obviously very high. Picked to win the conference, top 10 in all the national polls, the 4 of them, and the team hit that spot right there where it was just it's tough to really get consistent and get on a roll, I think. And so some people on the national scene more or less wrote this Mule Rider team off, but that hadn't been really the case if somebody really looks at it. Since dropping out of the polls, your team though has really started to hit their stride. Do you think that that's where you thought the team would be, and you guys are peaking at the right time?
Well, truthfully, I don't think we're where we thought we would be. Our expectations are always pretty high, but we thought we had a pretty special bunch to start the year with, and we do have a special bunch. We're like any other team. We've had to battle some adversities and some guys that didn't perform like you thought they'd perform, but you've also had guys step up, and so it's I think we're playing good ball at the right time. I've always said you want to peak at this time of year, not the first of the year, and they can get you in trouble. And I think this is the time of year that you can put your best baseball games together. This time of year to do it as you're closing out conference and moving into your tournaments and stuff like that. I know our guys expect to be in contention for a championship. Our guys expect to go to the conference tournament. Our guys expect to win the conference tournament, and that's a good problem to have. And but at the end of the day, there's other teams that are expecting that as well. So like I said, we just got to put our head down, go to work, and see what happens.
We appreciate it very much for your time again. That's head baseball coach Steve Browning. Once again, he and his Mule Riders are set to host East Central in a 3-game series at home at Walker Stadium, Goodhart Field. It's scheduled for Friday and Saturday, but again, with the weather that's supposed to be coming in throughout the weekend, be sure to check MuleRiderAthletics.com, all of our social media outlets for any schedule changes, and we'll keep you all up to date on that as well. Coach, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.